Hello and welcome to this video lecture presentation on absolute value, commutative, associative, distributive laws, and then we'll also look at dividing by zero. So the absolute value is looking at just a pure magnitude number of any value without regards to its sign. So for instance, if I have the absolute value of 4, that's going to be equal to 4. If I have the absolute value of minus 4, it's still going to be equal to 4 because we're not focused on the sign, we're only focused on the number. So let's look at the commutative law. When I see commutative, I see the word commute. Commute means movement, travel. Commutative law is only for addition and multiplication only. And what it says is order doesn't matter. So if I had, simple example, 2 plus 3, what is that, 5? Well, commutative law says I could switch around these numbers, show it as 3 plus 2, and I'll still get 5. Same thing applies for multiplication. If I have 2 times 3, that's equal to 6. Commutative law says I could change around the order, and I'll still get 6. Now let's look at an example where our expression has both in here. Now, if the problem says to do the commutative law of addition, that means that we want to look at the values that are added together. That's just 2x added to the y. Order doesn't matter. So you want it to show it as y plus 2x. You don't want to do any more than that, because there's more commutative laws that we could apply to this. Now, if the problem says just use the commutative law of multiplication, well, now you only look at the numbers or values that are multiplied together. You don't look at what's added. Don't change around the orders. So we'll keep the plus y plus y second. So 2 and the x are multiplied together. So to show the commutative law of multiplication only, you only look at what's multiplied, and then you switch the order. X times 2 plus y. Now, if the problem says to do both, commutative law of addition and multiplication. So now you want to switch around the addition order, so that's y plus 2x, and then you want to switch around the multiplication order, x times 2. Because if you switched any one of these into what the question was asking, you would technically be wrong, because if it says just a commutative law of addition, you only want to change the order of the values that are added. If it says a commutative law of multiplication, you only want to change around the order of the values that are multiplied. If it says to do both, then do both. So that's how that works. Now let's look at the associative laws. Associative laws is that we could associate 2 or more values together by use of parentheses. So I'll show you how this works. Associative law works for addition and multiplication only. So if I have 2 plus 3 plus 4, 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 4 is 9. So I could use the associative laws and associate by parentheses the 2 and the 3 together. So by doing this, I have to do the order of operations first, whatever's in parentheses. So 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 4 is 9. Now to demonstrate the associative law of addition, so I have my 2 plus 3 plus 4. Now you want to associate with parentheses two other values. So how about we associate together the 3 and the 4? So 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 2 is still 9. Because remember, order of operations says that you have to do what's in parentheses first. So you handle the 3 plus 4, which will give you 7, then 7 plus 2, which is equal to 9. Now, the same thing works for multiplication. If you have 2 times 3 times 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 4 is 24. So if we use parentheses to associate the 2 and the 3 together, we'll still get the same answer. 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 4 is 24. Now to demonstrate the associative law of multiplication, I'm going to use the parentheses and associate them to two different values. So now order of operations says I have to do what's in parentheses first. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. So that's how that works. Now let's look at the distributive property. Okay. If I was to take a look at an example such as 2 times the quantity 3 plus 4, we could solve this. Handle what's in parentheses first. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. So what the distributive property says is I could take this outside value and distribute it by multiplication to everything inside the parentheses. So by doing that, I get 2 times 3 plus 2 times 4, which will give me 6 plus 8, and I still get 14. The distributive property is handy when you cannot combine what's in parentheses. So say I have x minus 3 in parentheses. Well, x minus 3 it can't combine because they're not like terms. So we could take the outside value of 2, distribute everything by multiplication, distribute this 2 by multiplication to everything in parentheses. So 2 times x will give me 2x, and then 2 times minus 3 will give me minus 6. So that is how the distributive property works. Now lastly, let's take a look at dividing by 0. Now this I just memorized, I just know. If you try to divide by 0, no matter what it is, if it's a over 0, 10 over 0, 100 over 0, doesn't matter. You're going to end up with an undefined value. You can't divide by 0. It shows up as an error in the calculator. And that will wrap up our discussion on absolute value, commutative law, associative law, distributive law, and dividing by 0. Thank you for watching and have a good one. Bye-bye.